Welcome back to Your Voice, Your Future. I'm your moderator, Armstrong Williams. Rob Bluey, Vice President, Communications and Executive Editor at the Daily Signal, joins us again. Tiffany Lord, welcome back, PhD, Political Science, and Professor and radio host. We welcome her back. I haven't seen you in a while. And Juan Villasmil, an ISI Journalist Fellow, Editorial Assistant at the Spectator World, a Young Voices contributor. You know, let me raise this. You know, we've just come out of the holiest of weeks in this country, the Easter weekend, and it's fascinating. There's a record number of young people who commit suicide. They find themselves depressed. Some of them think having faith and believing in God and being religious is sort of fantastical. But, you know, I'm just really, and I'm going to start with you, JP. What is it, what are the values of young people today? What is it that they value? What is it that they cherish? What is it that influences them more than anything else?
I think the question of what my generation values is not that distinct from what other generations value. We value connection. We're humans, after all. We do value family, we do value country, we do value being part of something bigger than ourselves. The issue is that that's increasingly difficult for us to find.
Let me ask you this, what is bigger than yourself to be a part of? What is bigger than you?
Well, for people that are Christian, the answer is really simple, God, Jesus. But even if you're not Christian, you know, a cause bigger than itself, something that, you know, gives you the energy to wake up in the mornings. And what I think is happening, if I'm sincere, is that we're under this facade of infinite interconnection with social media, and a lot of my peers think that they are finding community, but they're truly just finding weak community. You know, that's what you find on Instagram and Twitter. We do need traditional community, and if you don't find that at church and at the parks and at school, I don't know where you can find it, really.
JP, how does your generation feel about what is perceived as the invasion on the border, the southern border, the crisis in immigration, all across the board? No matter what poll you read, immigration is the most important issue.
Yeah. Every single poll seems to reflect that it's top issue. And I think my generation is not immune from this reality. We see what's happening in the southern border, and I don't know if I can speak for everyone in my age group, but it's not a very nice image. The thousands of people crossing the border in a disorganized way, even among my friends that are somewhat liberal, and I have many friends that are liberal, they're not excited about what's happening in the border. And I think it's an issue that it's initially, you know, 5 years ago, if I talked to some of my peers about immigration, they, you know, human rights, oh my God, Trump's using this language. But now most of my friends, when they talk about immigration, they're like, hey, we got to do something. This is uncontrollable. We're going to lose our country. And I've seen some of my friends who previously, you know, used to have a more sympathetic and soft language talk more like Trump. And I'm like, oh, something's happening. Something's happening in this country.
JP, let me come back to you. Why do you think so many young people empathize and sympathize so much with Hamas?
This might be a little too complicated to explain, but I think that in a way there's a domestic theory that has been imported to international relations. And this is, of course, the, you know, I don't like to use the term because people use it so much, but, you know, critical race theory. The idea that the darker you are, the more oppressed you are, and the lighter you are, the less oppressed you are. Often presented in a very simplistic way. I think some of my peers look at Middle Eastern dynamics, and I'm not saying all of them do. Some know a lot, and they still take the Palestinian side. But a lot of my peers, they just look at Hamas, and they say, hey, they're being oppressed by the Jews, because in American politics, the Jews are lighter skinned and they're not brown. And I'm not saying this is all, but this is certainly something that I see, because I see it in other countries. I've seen it in Latin America, for instance. Me growing up as a Hispanic American, sometimes I'll talk about Venezuelan politics, and people will be like, oh, but like you're white. And I'm like, if we're going to talk about Venezuelan politics, like 50% of the country's white and 90% of the population is poor. So there's like other things going in there. But the racial thinking in America, when it's exported to international relations, it tends to have this effect in which people are more sympathetic, siding with traditional enemies of the American government.
You know, so listen, JP, poll after poll consistently shows that President Biden is losing support among Democrats, with many stating unequivocally they're going to vote for somebody else. Granted, of course, it's early, but should this be a concern for Democrats and President Biden?
Of course. President Biden has a very tough problem in which it's really difficult to tell whether he should be appealing more to that progressive faction within his party or to the moderates. It seems like the orthodoxy today is that he should be trying to appeal to this very strong progressive faction. And this is exactly what he's trying to do, especially when it comes to international relations at this moment. But some other Democratic strategists fear that by doing this, he might lose some of the more moderate Democrats that he successfully attained, and thanks to them, he won that election. So it's hard. It's hard to tell. Like, what should Biden do?
You know, listen. So Biden is hemorrhaging support among black voters. But I'm just curiously, does that actually mean that those votes will go to Trump? And what does Trump have to do to appeal to black voters on substance? And go ahead.
Okay, I need to answer.
Wait. Let me get JP. Let me get JP's thoughts on that. Go ahead, JP.
But how can anybody say what they can do for black voters that is not in the black community? Hello?
Easily. That's why they like leaders to represent their interests. Because there's no such thing to me as black and white issues. Everybody cares about crime. They care about education. They care about immigration. They care about inflation. What are you talking about? Those are issues that affect everybody. Those are not black and white issues. Of course not.
Okay. Of course so.
Go ahead, JP.
To answer the question, I'm not black, but
How do you know you're not?
If I were black, I think that I would probably want to have.
But you're not black, so don't say what black
I would probably want to live in safer communities and have access to cheaper goods.
Anybody wants to live in safer communities.
You know,
it's quite obvious.
That's not a black and white issue.
So yeah, I think that what Trump could do is honestly just do what he's doing. What we've seen is that I can speak for Hispanics, right? I can speak for Hispanics. With Hispanics, right? With Hispanics, Trump is doing tremendously well without any need to like try to appeal to us. Like he's not. He appeals in a really funny way. He posted this video like, "I'm votar por Donald Trump," and you know these songs and stuff.
Oh, man.
That he doesn't really need to go out there and like try to speak Espanol or I don't know, try to talk to Hispanics in a very specific tone. He just talks about the issues, and the issues that affect most Americans end up affecting Americans within individual racial groups. So I think actually Trump should refrain from trying to like hyperfixate on demographics, because that's exactly what I think people within those communities don't want. That's exactly what they don't like about Joe Biden.
Because you're not in our community.
Why would he need to be in the community if the issues affect everybody the same? Why?
You know, because until you have walked in our shoes, how can you understand how we feel?
You think poverty is different based on the color of your skin? You think crime is different? You think inflation is different? You think immigration? You gotta be kidding me.
No, there you
this
go.
has nothing to do with no race.
Have you not heard me say all the things that Biden has done to not only fail black people but to fail America? Okay, but black voters, we have the same concerns as all other voters regarding quality of life issues. We have concerns for our children's education. We have concerns for our children's safety. We have concerns about environmental racism. We have concerns about discrimination. We have concerns about the criminal justice. What we ain't concerned about is you trying to sell sneakers to appeal to us, because that's insulting. Because you're now profiling, now trying to basically say that all black people wear sneakers. I'm not a sneaker person. And so I think what an insult. And what we're not interested in is $60 Bibles that say the American Bible. There's no such thing as a Christian as an American Bible. It's God's Bible. God does not just cater to people in America. He caters to everyone worldwide, no matter where you are. That's what we're not into. And what is also an insult?
Wait a minute. I can't let you roll out the clock.
No.
Wait a minute.
What is an insult to black
I
people
have 2
is
minutes
to say
left.
that black people like you because of your indictments, basically trying to call us criminals. That's not what black people are about.
What are you talking about?
You keep saying that that's a black and white issue. Go back. Trump's words were,
there is no black and white issues. It impacts people the same. What are you talking about?
But now you're trying to say it's not a black and white
That's what
issue.
I've always said. You just don't listen well because you're too busy talking.
Was it not a black and white issue?